Okay. Oh no, it's on cipher. Nobody can see you, so you're good. Nobody can see you, so you're good.
Easy. Yes. Easy. Yes. Easy. Yes. Great job.
Okay, great. Go. Great. Okay, you want it? Can you hear me now? Hello? Oh, I think people can hear me now. All right. Source. All right, be careful what you say. They can officially hear you.
All right.
Right. Oh, is that not going to work now? There we go. I just got to swap one thing quick, and we should be good.
Right.
All right. So, I think we're officially up and live, dude.
All right.
So, what's going on?
Not a whole lot.
No?
Just finally getting everything unloaded and put away and back off, getting back from Irwindale. So
yeah, how was the drive?
it was fun. It was really fun. Unlike going to like St. Louis and Atlanta and stuff, it's just flat and green and trees the whole way. It's kind of nice going out west and having mountains and mountains. There's kind of everything up there. So.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That is a good point. It's a much nicer drive, that's for sure.
Yeah. More scenic at least.
yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of which drive is the worst. Atlanta's not
even though it's which one?
I don't mind Atlanta too much. Like it's pretty nice.
Even though St. Louis for us is the shortest, it's probably the most boring. Just because it's the same thing the entire way.
Yeah, and there's nothing all that spectacular about the drive either, right? It's not like there's like part of it where you're like, man, this is awesome. Like I can see all this, or I get to see mountains or whatever. It's like just a lot of evergreen trees and just a lot of evergreen trees. So that's all right. And you're driving all the way from what, Minnesota?
Yep. We're right in the middle of Minnesota. So it's for Irwindale, it was like a little over a 30-hour drive for us.
Jesus.
So yeah, it was a bit of a haul. So for the most part, no major issues. We had one trailer wheel leave the trailer on the way down, but other than that, it's pretty good. So.
Small ejection. Other than that, though, you're all right.
Yeah. We didn't get anyway. So.
No, it's just like spares. They put all those extra wheels and axles and shit on just for show and looks.
Yeah. So luckily we did have spares, so we got that on. And the one that left us, he decided to go off a cliff or something, so we never did find him. But
wow. I wonder if you could put out like a Craigslist ad or something like that. Be like looking for this rim in particular.
Yeah. So.
although like
some
possible someone, if someone answers, it's like a picture of just like a rim through a windshield.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not that.
No, fingers crossed. Right?
Yeah. There was another guy behind us, and he pulled over too, and he said he saw it come up and go over, but luckily there was no traffic coming the other way, so it just kind of went over there, and that was it. So.
Well, and at that speeds too, like it's gonna travel and it's gonna go far, like.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, we drove probably a half mile before we actually pulled over. Just because of where we were.
Oh, okay.
And so then we pulled over. We thought we just blew out a tire or something. And God pulled over, and the whole wheel's gone. Luckily, the hub and everything was still there, but it sheared all the lug nuts off, or the studs. And we had to look back to an auto parts store and pull the hub off and put new studs in it and buy new lug nuts and all that stuff. So
that's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Hey,
a little more than just there. Yeah. We got there and made it home on the spare, so it's all that matters.
Yeah, it's you never want it. Like they make for good stories when shit goes down, but you never really want it to go down. That's for sure.
It's in the moment it's not as fun to talk about.
Yeah. No, I could definitely tell you on that, and it's not. When it's happening, shit's not fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. But luckily, that was really the only time we've ever had any kind of breakdown this year. So it's been pretty smooth.
Well, that's
as far as travel goes.
If that's like the worst thing that's happened, then you're not doing too bad.
Right. Yeah.
But how was the season in general for you? Like you kind of had some ups and downs, and all things considered, pretty good.
Yeah, we started off a little bit rough. We had a motor failure right before Atlanta, like the night before we were supposed to leave. And so we ended up actually swapping motors overnight. I have the motor I run the car is a 6-liter LS with the LSA supercharger on it, and ended up spinning a bearing in it, and that was the night. That was on Sunday. We were supposed to leave Monday morning for Atlanta, and went through a bunch of options and ended up actually. My brother-in-law had an NALS1 just sitting in his garage, and we actually just went over, picked that up, brought it back to my place, swapped the motors overnight. We went from the supercharged 6-liter to a naturally aspirated LS1, and threw that in and. Just kind of went to the event and just kind of wung it, and you know, we were kind of out of options at that point, so we just threw it in there, and whatever happens, happens. And we made the event, and unfortunately didn't qualify due to we had a power steering O-ring blowout, like right as we pulled up to the line for qualifying, and so that kind of threw us off a little bit. But other than that, we went into the next round. We had like that 2-month break, and then the next round was St. Louis, and ended up getting on the podium for that. And so
right?
Once we got the motor squared away, our season went pretty well after that. So
okay, it's the LS series is excellent for sure. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I don't know, man. I'm not convinced yet. I've driven in a couple LS cars. Like I drove in oh my god, what is his name? Jeff Stoneback's car at Grid Life. And I was like,
really?
Man, I get this LS thing. And then I almost find that there's just so much going on with them that it just seems to be like little parts here and there. And it's one of those engines where like the smallest thing, if it goes, that's it. Like it's over. The whole thing just combusts. So I don't know.
Well, the beauty of it is they're really being it's in the middle of the block. There's no overhead cams. You got push rods, but as far as like the overall package, there's not a lot of moving parts compared to a lot of other engines, and they've got the biggest downfall I think is kind of they've got oiling issues.
Yeah.
And that's what we ran into at the beginning of the season. We don't run dry sump or anything like that, just due to money.
Shit's not cheap, man.
Oh, not at all. So but other than that, I mean, I ended up redoing my oil pan and kind of setting up the AccuSump a little bit differently. And but once we got that, it was solid for the rest of the year. So
is it true that like I don't know that much about LSs, but do they love to run hot? I've had a few guys say like, man, this engine's dog shit until it's damn near overheating.
I haven't found that. This thing runs at like 210 all day.
Oh, perfect.
And with the supercharger, we see like 130-degree intake air temps, typically like towards the end of a run. So it's really pretty cool. They really don't mind, I guess, overheating.
Yeah.
I've gotten them hot. The one time I was hot lapping like 2 years ago in St. Louis actually. When I had this motor in my truck, I was running, and we were hot lapping at a street driven tour, and ended up running. I think we saw like 140 or 180 degree, or no, 280.
Okay.
Engine temps, and breaking a piston ring, or we popped the ringland off of a piston.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, other than that, I've never really had any major issue. This motor in this car has been blown up probably 3 or 4 times now.
Really? And the block and everything else seems to be fine?
Yeah, we've salvaged the block every time. It's just been little things, so.
That's kind of funny. And so you had the 5.3 in the hard body, right? And then
actually before this year, I had this motor in the hard body.
Okay.
It was the 6-liter, the LS2 bottom end.
Oh, okay.
Then this year, now I've got a 5.3 in the hard body, and stuck that one, or the 6-liter in the Z and threw the supercharger on that, and it's been holding up really well. So it's still stock bottom end, it's stock crank, stock rod, stock pistons.
Wow.
It's basically I think the only aftermarket parts in that motor are the push rods, which are just hardened push rods, and the head bolts. We just got ARP head bolts just because they're reusable.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. It's a pain in the ass every time you gotta toss those out.
Right. Everything else from the valve springs to the cam to even the exhaust manifolds are factory. Yeah. So.
That's okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. I guess it kind of shows you don't need a ton. Like, obviously, to run Pro 2, you're going to need a serious setup, but like maybe not as crazy as some people think.
Yeah, this one, I would say it's probably bare minimum. We run 500 at the wheels, horsepower.
Okay.
And it seems to do all right. I've never really been left. I don't.
Not to my knowledge, I don't think you've ever been walked, although crazy things happen.
But it holds its own for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen any real issues with performance-wise, so obviously things are going fairly well. And the nice thing too about that number is you're not having to worry about absolutely nuking the 255s.
Right. Yeah.
Which is obviously a problem with a few different drivers. Riley being one, I can say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you throw a lot of power at it and you try and launch off the line and you smoke them, I mean, you're either going to spin the tires or you're going to, I don't know, I guess even if you throw a lot of power at it, there's only so fast you can go, on a 255. So
yeah, that's a solid point. Is the car? And I'm not trying not to get ahead of myself here, but like, what would the car need to make the jump to pro? Just more power, like a shit ton of nitrous and a built engine.
Yeah, probably. I mean, power will be the main thing. Obviously, for reliability, we would probably stray away from the factory rotating assembly and stuff like that.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think the supercharger would put out the kind of power we would need either.
Okay.
So we'd probably need a new engine package and built block and a little more boost probably, or the same amount of boost and maybe just higher compression and
yeah.
But
I think as soon as you start getting into like cranking the compression up, you're really starting to play with dangerous territory. Like it's great on a naturally aspirated to go insane compression ratio, but in my mind, it's asking for a lot of problems, and then you're getting into insane tuning because now higher compression means everything in tuning needs to be that much better and that much tighter. And
Yep.
I'm a big fan of like get the power you can out of it and then dump a bunch of nitrous on top and call it a day.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, that's what I was bugging like Dirk Stratton's team about the entire season. Every time I'd see them, I'd walk up to the car and be like, "Huh, no nitrous bottle. That's weird." And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Man, that's
He worried.
like 150, 200 shot. You're right there."
He doesn't run a or either.
No, he's 600, 700 maybe.
Yeah.
I think if that, like, probably closer to 600.
So, and I'm he yeah.
If it works for him.
Exactly. Yeah. He doesn't. I don't think he runs as big of a tire as he could either.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, it seems to work for him for sure.
Yeah, he's doing well. Like obviously another you fucking Midwest boys just coming out of nowhere. Are you considered Midwest in Minnesota or like Central?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're like the northwestern part, I guess, of Midwest. I think. I don't know. I guess it depends on what map you look at, but I think North and South Dakota are still, grouped into that Midwest area. So we do a amount of stuff up there too. So then we got a new track actually right in Fargo that just opened up this year. It's a tuning shop up there, and they actually bought a drag strip and built a kind of a drift specific track.
That's pretty awesome.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. We're doing a lot of stuff up there. We got tons of seat time up there this year and have a ton of fun up there. But
man, that's good to hear. Like, you hear about all these tracks shutting down and like facilities kicking drifters out. So it's nice to hear every once in a while that there's something new coming in and some
definitely
new shit
they're gearing up for some events next year too. So definitely it'll be maybe we'll have to get Riley down here for that.
Yeah, I know. We got to get Riley down to a lot of different places. That's for sure. He's it's tough. Well, you know this as well. It's hard to get seat time in a Pro 2 car for several different reasons.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's just overall cost, whether it's finding someone that you can tandem with that you're comfortable with. Like there's so many different things, so many different factors that come into play when you're trying to.
I think that last point you made, just finding the right people to drive with. I know we were talking with Jelani, which is one of Garrett Denton's crew chief, and he was talking about that at Irwindale too.
There we go. All right, I'm not sure what happened there, but something happened.
Yeah, we're kind of out in the country here, so we don't have the greatest internet. So
okay.
I think that's probably just cut out on us. But
yeah, maybe you never know. That's all right. I'm playing with my own problems here. Thankfully, so the podcast side of things has been out for well over over a year. We're nearing over 100 episodes now, and I've been
really?
yeah, it's been awesome. But I've been like, everyone's bugging me like, hey, you should do it live. You should do it live, and I'm like, man, you've no idea how much shit goes into doing it live. So there's a lot. There's software that I got to run. I've got to have crazy good internet. So I've only recently gotten my internet to a point where I feel comfortable even doing it, and I'm still playing with it. So
right, yeah.
That's all right. Where did I'm trying to think where we left off. I was bugging Stratton about running Nitro.
Cut out on. yeah, right. I think we were talking about just getting seat time.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, you're right.
So, I think the biggest thing I would say, aside from the logistics of it and cost, is just finding the right people to drive with.
Yeah.
And have with the people with the right setups, and people you can compare to and consistently drive with that are comparable to other Pro 2 drivers. It's hard to actually replicate without having other Pro 2 drivers actually there to drive with.
Well, you run into one of two issues. Either you've got some hot boy with a crazy car, but absolutely no skill, because we've seen those guys, and it's shitty that it happens, but it does.
Yep.
And then you get the other problem where you've got guys with tons of skill, but they don't have a car.
Yep.
And I think maybe the biggest one is you can have lots of skilled guys out there, but it's finding skilled guys that have a car that grips, that has the forward bite that a Pro 2 car has.
Right. You almost have to run, one of the two tires that are allowed in Pro 2 and, do it that way, or run a bigger. I guess you could run a bigger, other tire.
Yeah, or find a way to run a skinnier tire to The issue is trying to manage between grip and angle, right? That seems to be the biggest issue when watching Pro 2. Is either the car has way too much grip and not enough angle, or vice versa, and there's no real way to handicap yourself to give yourself both to run a slower car. Right? I cannot think of a way that you could go up against a car that's not to your level and still get the same feeling. It just doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah, and even like you were saying, if you switch tires on our cars to kind of handicap to to make it slower for other cars, you really don't get the same feel. The suspension doesn't do the same things, and it's a lot different when you start messing with tires. So it's really nice to be able to practice and do things on the tire you're going to compete with.
Well, I never
rather
realized,
than switching it up.
I never realized how much 3 or 4 psi can make all the difference.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Riley about it, and he was like, "Oh, we're sitting at whatever number. I don't know how tightly guarded of a secret that is." And then he'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna drop at 3 psi," and I was like, "That's it? 3 psi? Are you even gonna be able to notice that?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And then I was even reviewing footage. I'm like, "Oh shit! There's a noticeable difference between the two."
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, at Irwindale, we made a 5 psi change, and that was huge. That made I'm sure you can see it in the footage of us too. It's from the earlier runs until the end. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, when I was sending you your stuff, I was looking through it obviously, and I was from run 1 to competition, I was like, oh my god, what a change!
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah,
so